is there. So, okay, go ahead.
All right. Thank you. Welcome, everybody, to the August 4th, 2021 full Pedestrian Advisory Committee meeting. And just to notice that this meeting may involve the remote participation by members, either by phone or other electronic means due to the local public health emergency pursuant to the provisions of Minnesota Statute Section 13D-021. Hi, everybody, and welcome. Thanks for being here today. The first up is the roll call.
Okay. Aaron? Abigail?
Here.
Austin? Barbara? Here. Christopher Hoffer?
Here.
Christopher Ross? Donna?
Yep.
Harmony? Here. Leah?
Here.
Steinrich?
Here.
Hill?
Here.
St. Martin? Peter? Peter, you gotta say here. Oh, stuff. Okay. Raina?
Here.
Tamir? Carrie? Jordan? Emma? Eric? Tom? Heidi?
Here. Oh, Tom Townsend.
Tom, are you here?
Yep, Tom Tow's here.
Heidi? Julie? Mackenzie? Ratana? Sonia? Suzanne?
Here.
Here. Millicent Flowers, I'm here. Chris Kartheiser?
Hello.
Hi. Matthew Deardahl?
Here.
Okay, we have 14 in attendance. Peter?
Yep, I'm here.
Okay, great. Your picture is stuck.
Yeah, I got a double. I had to re-log in, so.
All
Say,
right.
Millicent,
Thanks, Millicent.
may I
somebody-
just ask, what is our total numbers counting voting members and agency reps?
That looks to be, let me see. 26, 27, 26?
So barely half. Huh. Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Millicent. Next up on the agenda is to adopt the agenda and accept the minutes from the July 7th full PAC meeting. So we'll do a roll call vote. The PAC minutes are attached to the agenda from the LIMS system that you all got in an email.
All right, Abigail,
Yes.
Barb? Can't hear you.
I know, I was muted. Yes.
Okay. Hopper?
Yes.
Huh?
Yes.
Harmony?
Yes.
Julia?
Yes.
Matthew S? Matthew
Yes.
S? Okay. Neil?
Hi. Yes.
Anna?
Yes.
Wonderful. 10 yeses.
Thanks all. I think we moved and seconded it, but Neil, you can put that in your minutes.
What's that?
That we moved and we seconded it, the acceptance of the minutes. Anyway, up next on the agenda is the I&E subcommittee report.
Hold on one second.
Rock and roll.
All right.
Where
Can you see it, Barb? Was that a yes? You're on mute. You're on mute, Barb.
I know, I changed it. I can't see, you could make it a little bit bigger.
Oh, that's right.
And I haven't mastered,
How's that?
that's much better. Thank you. We met on July 15th from 4:30 to 6, the INE, and we had 4 presentations on that meeting. The first one was the Bryant Avenue Reconstruction with Liz Heyman, Trey Joyner, and from Minneapolis Public Works. This is a plan that is at 30% and due to present to the City Council on August 11th for at the Transportation Public Works Committee. It's a plan from, I think, Lake Street to 50th and Bryant Avenue South. The plan is to make it convergent one-way. Convergent from Lake Street to 46th will be going south, and from 50th to 46th, because of some circumstances, that will be going north, and they will converge at 46th and have to turn right or left to continue on whatever path they're going. They have moved the transit line from Bryant Avenue to Lindelof Avenue and are putting up protected bike lanes and wider pedestrian spaces, more green spaces. They're using chicanes and other traffic calming strategies to slow traffic down. And the PAC was for the most part, the PAC was very supportive of this this particular presentation. It seemed to really align itself with city policies, and we were very pleased about that. We did have questions. We talked a little bit about the moving of transit to Lindelof and how that might possibly negatively impact people that were using transit, but it was explained to us that it's really only 2 blocks, and they're very short blocks. I know that I live there, they're very short, and it felt that Lindelof was a much better option for transit than Bryant. If it had to be on Bryant would have to have been a much narrower. We would have less room for bicycles and pedestrians, and they weren't satisfied with that design. And so we talked a little bit about that, and there was a lot of comments of support for how much this design supported the policies of Minneapolis right now, and some of the PAC that the PAC has supported as well. So that was the Bryant Avenue reconstruction. There is a resolution, but maybe what I could do is read the resolutions at the end, if that's all right, or how do you want to do it? Do you want me to read them now? Any decision?
I'm okay.
Go ahead.
I'm okay with them all being right at the end, but I don't know if there's any other things we need to do. Matthew, if you know.
All at the end sounds great to me.
Okay. Can we move on? Millicent, can you slide it down?
Yeah.
Thanks. The next project was the Cedar Lake Road Bridge replacement. Alexander Cato and Abdullah Abukar and Maseret Wolana from Public Works. This project is at 0%. It's, I don't think, not due for completion until 2023. The bridge is over the BNSF Railroad that was built in 1941, and the bridge is 142 feet long, 51 feet wide, and has a sufficiency rating of fair, which requires a full replacement. There is another bridge not very far from this on the other side of, I think, I don't know if it's the creek or the other side of railroad yards. I'm not sure I can't remember that, but there's another bridge adjacent to this on the north side. And the question was asked during this presentation why they weren't going to do both bridges at the same time. That seemed maybe more efficient, but there were reasons why they couldn't. The other bridge was rated higher, and it had some reconstruction not that long ago, and it was due to their expectation was that it would be usable for 15 to 20 years at that time, and it still had about 8 to 10 years left, if my recollection is correct. So one of the things that was brought up by the PAC, the other thing that we questioned was whether or not the bicycle lane, because they were going to do a one-way bike lane on each side, one going one direction, one going the other one, and it was requested that they do a two-way bike lane on one side that better aligned with an existing trail that was close to this. So that was brought up, and we talked a little bit about that, and I think they will bring that back when they're doing engineering and design. That's the Loose Lake Trail, which is over north. So that's pretty much the essence of that. The other thing we did talk about is putting benches on the bridge and maybe railings that have seats if they can't do benches, but that it's nice to have places where people can sit and enjoy the bridge and the elevated view. So, okay, that was it for Cedar Lake Road reconstruction, the bridge reconstruction. Can we move on to Phillips Traffic Safety Project? Thank you, Millicent. This is also at 0%. This was presented by Mike Samuelson and Sylvie Huizon. I think that's how you say your name. These are streets between on 24th Avenue or 24th Street, 26th Street, and 28th Street in South Minneapolis between Cedar, Hiawatha actually, and Chicago. All 4 of these streets are high injury streets, which means they have lots and lots of issues on these streets, and they all need to have traffic calmed. The project goes from 35W and / Hiawatha Avenue, and it involves 3 neighborhoods, including Phillips, Phillip East, and I don't recall, maybe somebody else at the meeting remembers the other neighborhood. But it's they have federal funding for 24th Street and Chicago Avenue pedestrian safety improvements, and local funding for bikeways on 26th and 28th. We talked a lot about how dangerous these streets are. There are lots and lots of children. There's several schools. Anderson School is on this, and there are several early learning centers. The regular early learning center connected with that neighborhood, and also another private one, the Southside Family Nurturing Center, all of which have many preschoolers and toddlers using buses and walking sometimes to schools and walking home across streets. So this is an important place where safety needs to really be considered. The PAC members spoke about how many young children there were. We asked if they had any current data on speeding on those streets. They didn't have any current information. It was suggested that 26th and 28th Streets be converted to two-way traffic, which would help slow traffic. We also suggested to this team look at the Lindelof North Safety Project, which we had recently reviewed. We thought that was a really good project, and we hope they would look at that and take many of those ideas into consideration. We also expressed grave concern about 26th and 28th Streets interaction with Park Avenue and Portland Avenue. These are very dangerous intersections, and we have a lot of concerns about that. Finally, we talked about the need for marked pedestrian crossings at the exit from 35W onto 28th Street. All these concerns are reflected in our resolution for this project. Okay, last one.
That's it.
Is that it? I thought there were 4, but maybe just 3.
Do we have signalization?
Oh yeah, there we go. Where is that? There.
That's a PNP.
Yeah.
That's PNP. Okay, never mind.
So let me switch over.
Back and I'll read the resolutions. Well, we'll just do the resolutions.
Yeah. Hold on one second. Can you see them?
I can. Thank you. The resolution for Bryant Avenue reconstruction. The Pedestrian Advisory Committee fully supports the Bryant Avenue reconstruction design that will create a 2-lane, one-way convergent street on Bryant Avenue South. We also support the transfer of transit to Linndale Avenue, which will accommodate the creation of a safe and protected bikeway on Bryant Avenue. We are happy to see the city's policies enacted in this project and expect to see projects from Public Works align with policies as this one does. The resolution, okay. Do we need to vote on those as we read them, Abigail?
I think what we should do is read one second, discuss it, make edits,
Okay.
then read the next one. And then when all 3 are all edited and discussed, we can pass them all as a bundle.
Is there any
Second.
questions or comments about the resolution? Or edits, anything that you want to see changed?
It's perfect.
I'm not, there's a lot to like on Bryan Avenue, but we don't bring up the resolutions to say what we like about them though, right? I just want to say that about the transit portion, I think we were finessed on that, I think we often are, like the city often is on it's where it's like, well, it's bus or bikes. It's not, bus or parking or bikes or parking. It's where that's just a choice we get that the project people get finessed into by the users as well. I don't think transit on Linndale is better than transit on Bryant when a lot more people live on Bryant. To the extent there's a noise issue, that's zero sum. Just the noise doesn't go away; it just gets shifted to Linndale. But I'm going to vote for the resolution. That's all.
Do you have any edits for that, Peter?
No.
Did you want to change that? Okay.
No, that's fine. I'm fine with this.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay. If no other comments or edits or changes, let's move on to resolution for the Cedar Lake Road Bridge reconstruction. The Pedestrian Advisory Committee supports a two-way bike lane across the Cedar Lake Road Bridge to tie in with the Loose Lake Trail. We would also like to see the bike lanes and pedestrian lanes be at the same grade to offer more protection for pedestrians. We would also like to see seating of some sort on the bridge, benches or railings with seating.
Second.
Everybody, is this supposed to be loose line?
Loose lane. Lane.
No, it's a good call. It's line.
Is
It
it?
is line.
It is
Yep,
line?
it's
Yeah.
line.
Oh, when I asked for
That
it,
trail comes out by my house.
when I asked for it, I was told it was loose lane. So, yep,
Yeah,
Sorry
it's-
about that.
It's like a, yeah, anyway, it's line.
it's fine. Okay.
And is there one pedestrian lane or two?
I think there were pedestrian lanes on both sides of the bridge. Is that, do you guys remember? That's what I remember.
Well, pluralize that then. Yeah,
So it should be pedestrian lanes.
yeah, there you go.
Or sidewalks.
Which one?
Sidewalks.
Smith? Sidewalk?
Yeah.
Good.
I think that looks good.
If anybody can answer this, Matthew or Christopher, anybody, or Chris, anybody, does the BAC have anything approaching a standard position on what they prefer as far as like two one-way bike lanes versus one two-way bike lane? Or does it vary a lot by project, or would you say they have a?
Sorry, good point. I'm glad you brought that up. Actually, they have been asking staff if, or at their engineering meeting, they asked staff if there's an option for basically closing the bridge to cars. So that's kind of where they're at. Otherwise, protected. They're interested in protected like you all.
Protected one way on each side or two way?
Protected lanes. I don't think they specify it at this level.
Okay. Yeah, that's kind of what I was wondering. Thank you.
Thanks.
Matthew, is it also clear that when we say we'd like to see the bike lanes and sidewalks at the same grade, that we do mean like behind the curb?
Yes.
Okay, that's clear, then we can leave it. I just wanted to make sure.
And would there be a some kind of a marking between the walk and the bike lane so that like someone like me wouldn't walk across accidentally into the bike lane?
I think we haven't standardized that yet, Donna, but that's something that we could look into for sure.
Well, yeah, because otherwise some people like me could get in big trouble.
Yeah, I'll say.
Do you want to add an edit to this, Donna?
Yeah, I think that there should be a tactile division between the walkway and the bikeway.
So a same grade with tactile.
I think,
Okay,
Let me read it.
between them.
Let me read it to you, Donna. It says, we would like to see the bike lanes and sidewalks with a tactile division between them. It should say maybe between them at the same grade to offer more protection for pedestrians.
Yeah,
should there be commas here or anything? No.
We would like to see the
Bike lanes.
comma after them. Well, I don't know, at the same grade. No, that maybe is confusing.
Yeah, that clarifies the clauses. Okay. That clarifies it, them.
Okay.
Because we're asking for two things in this sentence.
Okay.
So leave the commas or,
I'd say put them in for clarity.
Okay,
Where's that? Oh, bingo. Yeah.
okay. No, that's a good, thank you, Donna, for that.
yeah, something that should be standardized within the whole
Should
city,
be.
actually. It should always happen, because otherwise somebody's gonna get hurt or killed. I mean, seriously.
I-
Okay. I agree with Donna.
Me too. Any other changes or comments about the Cedar Lake Road Bridge? Okay, let's move on to the resolution for the Phillips Traffic Safety Project. The Pedestrian Advisory Committee expressed many concerns regarding these high injury streets, and we hope they will be heeded during the design and engineering of this project. We request converting both 26 and 28 into two-way streets to discourage speeding, one lane in each direction. We also have grave concerns for 26 and 28 streets as they cross Portland and Park Avenues. These are very dangerous intersections. Bump outs and/or medians, all traffic calming strategies need to be included here, hopefully in collaboration with Hennepin County. Finally, we would like all legs of the intersection at the 35W exit onto 28th Street to have pedestrian marked zebra striped crosswalks.
Second. What's going on in the middle paragraph there?
Well,
It's a run-on sentence. Am I?
it is. There is one.
Okay. Okay. I was gonna say,
Right.
am I running at the
Yeah.
moment? It's a run-on sentence.
Yeah,
Oh,
put a period after avenues and say these are very dangerous intersections,
Mm.
bump outs and/or medians and traffic strategies need to be included here, period.
How about semicolon between intersections and bump?
Oh, there you go.
say that again?
Makes it look more erudite.
What do you, say it again, Neil? Neil, say-
I'm saying these are very dangerous intersections, semicolon. Bump outs, medians, all traffic calming strategies, blah, 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 blah. That'll fix it.
Okay,
If that seems good enough.
okay. Any other comments?
This
Go ahead.
was 24th part of this? For part of?
24th Street is part of it, but there were not, I recall, strong comments about it, but we can certainly include some.
I just want to include Park in Portland at 24th. Because I think the issue, like there is 26 and 28 have specific problems as one ways, but 24th is also unpleasant because of Park in Portland.
Okay. So
So
just
before, add that in before 26. Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay. Good.
Is there any other comments on this one, or should we vote?
Okay.
That's good.
Or voting.
All right.
you
So
guys ready to
Mills Yeah.
vote? Okay, Abigail,
Yes.
Austin, you ready to vote? Have you seen enough?
Yes, I approve.
Arb,
Yes.
Verhoefer,
Yes.
for Ross, you here?
Yes.
Huh? Donna, you want to
Yes.
vote?
Yes.
Okay, Harmony,
Yes.
Julia,
Yes.
FUS,
Yes.
Neil,
All right.
Peter,
Yes, on all three.
Raina, Yes. Great, we have 12 yeses.
12 yeses.
Thanks, Barb.
You're welcome.
Yeah, big one.
Yeah, and that also was Christopher Hoffer's first I&E as a co-chair.
Yeah.
So round of applause to him
Right.
for his new role.
And it only took 5 hours to get the meeting done. So no, I think it went okay. It went.
Did.
So, thank you.
Up next is the PMP subcommittee report.
Okay. Hi, all. I'm ready to go. I have all the resolutions up, but I'm done. The minutes themselves, I didn't get quite to, so I'm going to take 1 second on that.
Do you want me to put them on the screen?
Yeah, sure. Why not? Since we did for I&E, and yeah, I've got them up here too. So, right off that bat, we had the signalization team came in. We had a good 45, 50 minutes with Alan and Ben Brasser, and one of the things that came out of that, or was like sort of spurred their, two things that spurred their return. One was on the automatic pedestrian recall situation. That is where users can approach the intersection that's controlled with walk, don't walk signs and get a walk sign without having to press a button to get that walk along with the green cycle.
What's this now?
So Donna, so the automated pedestrian recall was a big part of our discussion, which means that walk signals come whether or not where they appear, where there's a walk and a don't walk signal at an intersection, that the walk comes automatically with the green light, that a button need not be pushed to get that
But it will still
operation.
speak. It will
The
still
ones,
tell you
yeah,
when to
it
walk.
has, the ones that do will still have that. That's a separate part of the system.
Okay.
Okay, and we had some concern. We wrote a resolution because we had some concern about wanted to reinforce the PAC's posture towards automatic pedestrian recall, which we're foursquare behind, and in the since last year, a lot of them were moved to automatic pedestrian recall. 25 had since been returned to beg button operations. We wrote a resolution to talk about that, and that's forthcoming. Julia, what else in that? We also talked about sign positioning for temporary construction projects. I'll talk about it real quickly because the upshot of that turned out to be what I took to be very simple. That is where we see signs interfering with the pedestrian realm or blocking bike lanes for that matter, or sidewalks where they shouldn't be. That is these temporary place signs of road work ahead, that sort of thing that come and go with the seasons. The upshot from signalization, Alan directed us to the project managers of the specific project, which are usually approachable directly, but also direct complaints, corrections to them through 311. We've had various our PAC members have had various luck and disluck approaching 311 with these issues, but I felt like we came away, and I'd like Julie's opinion on this or anybody else who was there too. But I felt like we got specific direction on that, which is it's been a pain in everybody's side. Just putting too big of a sign on the sidewalk when they have smaller signs they can put them up. They need to block if they need to put them on the sidewalk if there's no room in the street, etc. Anyway, Julia, that felt like good direction. What did you think, Julia?
I am still pretty jaded on that one, so I'm waiting to see how it goes if we're able to get those actually shifted.
Well, I'll be able to report back on that because I have a project right in my neighborhood that has a continuing. One of the signs disappeared literally 2 days after our meeting, but I one that still sits there. So, and the one that disappeared was after some months, if not years, in 2 different projects. So anyway, I'll be able to report back specifically on that. I want to go over to I want to read the resolution for signalization contemporaneous with that section of the P&P report, and then we'll go into the next section after that. If that's anybody, as long as no one has any objection, I'll read that. signalization. That's the presentation. Here we go. On signalization, the resolution reads as follows, that the Pedestrian Advisory Committee calls on the city to make automatic pedestrian recall at all traffic signals the default condition. By doing so, the city will be acting in accordance with the Transportation Action Plan, Complete Streets Policy, and the spirit of the ADA. Since enabling automated pedestrian recall across 90% of city traffic signals last year, the city has returned 25 intersections to beg button operation, where unless a person is able to reach and press a button, no walk signal accompanies the green light cycle. While we share the city's goals of transit priority, no rationale for removing automated recall justifies reducing accessibility and reliability for more vulnerable users. Automatic recall is critical, basic, non-motorized transportation infrastructure where 1, there is no actuation system in place to detect people biking, and 2, timely and thorough snow and ice clearance at said buttons is lacking. When traffic signals are programmed to be actuated rather than automatic, the costs of these choices are borne almost entirely by those who are already the most marginalized and most at risk in our current transportation systems. A transportation system lacking allowances for people who bike and use wheelchairs to easily and safely cross the street regardless of season and weather is not a complete system. Finally, the PAC remains eager to fulfill its charter by advising Public Works on choices that determine walkability, including reviewing traffic signal recall programming on an intersection by intersection basis.
Second.
And resolution. Thank you. Thank you, Neil.
So could you
And I would,
send me these resolutions, by the way? I never saw either of them before.
Oh, they're in the meeting package.
Yep, they're
Well,
on.
yeah, that's my whole beef with this damn full setup. I mean, I never can find all the information.
What I meant to say, Neil, is yes.
Now you're talking. I literally never saw any of the resolutions before.
Okay.
And I didn't see any indication that they were being mailed.
Okay.
Thanks, though.
I'll get them to you.
One thing I noted is that in different places you call it automated recall, and then other places you call it automatic recall.
Yeah.
Can we just make sure 1, we get it right, and 2, then it's like consistent across the entire resolution?
Sure. Which is better?
Yeah, I don't know that.
Automatic.
Matthew?
Yep.
Automatic.
Yep.
Okay.
Julie's right. Yep.
Great.
and I don't know if we're okay using bag instead of actuated.
Let's let Millicent finish this edit, and then definitely I think
Where's the next automated?
If you go up to the top, if you go to the top 2 paragraphs, automatic, it's the second paragraph, I think.
Yeah.
Right there.
Automated, it's in the first line.
Okay.
There we go.
Thank you. Okay, Julie, what was the one you want to change?
Well, I wanted to raise it for discussion. I know that the one piece of advice I've been given that I've ever heard is to not refer to it as beg button, but I also, rather than actuated, and I just want to make sure that if we make the choice to do so, it's a conscious choice, because it's something that apparently can be taken as fighting words by Public Works, which I don't think is necessarily bad, but we might want to just be purposeful if we do that.
Yeah,
I
the quotation marks is purposeful.
Okay. That was a little unclear. Did you want to change anything?
So
I would say
I want
second,
that's just
let's let Matthew give his opinion.
Yeah.
I appreciated how Julia framed that. I think like sort of casually referring to it as beg buttons is one thing, but like it's not a beg button, it's automatic recall, it's a push button. I mean, so I don't know. But if you want it for a certain effect, that's fine too. But it's just, I don't think,
I think it is a beg button, but my understanding is Public Works is very sensitive about it being referred to in by that name, even though that's the colloquial name. So if to stay on Public Works good side, I think we use actuated. If we're ready to just start rolling up our sleeves, I'm fine with beg, but I don't want to be the one making that choice. I would default to actuated, but
Yeah, for this,
But
I'd
also
also
I'm
default to
open
actuated.
Let's change it. Actuated.
And then just to give context for this, Alan shared with us some interpretations that are happening within his department around what the Transportation Action Plan means when it talks about defaulting to automatic recall. And there was kind of an implication in how he was framing it was that there might be a lot of places where the actuation would be necessary based on how they would prioritize vehicle traffic, and that it would not almost be like a default to actuated still, but with more openness to automatic recall. So our resolution is in part to address that default can't exist, given the major problems that are present with winter and with biking in particular.
It's never been clear to me, and if I would have asked this question had I thought of it, but I mean, what is the inconvenience, perceived or otherwise, by giving a walk signal to a driver? I mean, and I'm not here to make arguments or ask anybody to make arguments for drivers, but I don't know what the difference is. It's just a segment of the light where there's a walk signal. The light is no longer or shorter. There's a walk signal made available to people who are crossing intersection, particularly those who don't get there right in time to press the button. So it's confounding what the rationale at all is when it as regards driver movement or traffic movement.
The best I could make out from what Alan was saying was that because they program our system to operate as an entire grid, it gets really complicated really fast. So if it were programmed just light by light, what you're saying would make sense, but because they're doing it in sets to run platoons of vehicles to prioritize their movement, it means that it would turn into like longer cycles, which also delays pedestrians. So that was at least that was my understanding.
That's not the case, though. I mean, I mean, in that the light, I don't see the light cycle itself going from red to green doesn't change. It goes to that timing does not have to change relative to the don't walk part of it. So it just confused me. It's still not clear to me.
I agree.
What I was saying about asking, yeah.
I'm not sure, and maybe someone in Public Works knows more, but I also thought that the part of the reason was actually the light cycle is shorter. So say like here on 25th and Hennepin, before they changed it to automatic recall, if I don't press the button, the green light for people crossing Hennepin or coming off of 25th is actually shorter because they don't have to adhere to ADA requirements of how long it takes someone to cross the street if they press the button. So not having a walk signal actually can shorten that green light. And that's what I think part of the reasoning is, but I'm not sure.
It does, but so if you think of it as sort of a red light, green light as one complete cycle, that stays fixed in the amount of time given. So it might be like a 3-minute cycle to get every direction going. And in actuated buttons, that means that there's, depending on how they're actuated, it still is 3 minutes being divvied up in different ways, including never turning green for side street traffic if it's not actuated. So it's like a 3-minute.
So that makes sense. So the side street either gets a full 60 seconds or only 30 seconds, depending on if someone presses a button, sort of.
Yeah, and it might be less. Like if a car actuates it, it does not give enough time for a pedestrian to cross.
Exactly.
That's one of the other problems. So
yeah,
you don't know why you're not getting a walk sign. It's like there's so much that's messed up about it, and we haven't ever really gotten into it. But yeah.
All right. I'll refer everybody else to the minutes. Everybody to the minutes for that rest of that discussion. And any more discussion on the signalization resolution? We got time for it, and then otherwise I'll go on to the mobility, micro mobility and hub presentation. All right. Danielle Elkins came in from who's our micro mobility manager in the city of Minneapolis to present on bike and scooter use, bike and scooter share, where it's going, kind of the experience of and the writing of an RFP due this in October to solicit responses from vendors on bike and scooter share. There's a big focus of our presentation was an continuing expansion of the mobility hub concept, which ties in as many of these concepts as possible, along with existing transit and expanding programs. There's a expansion of a car share program that's due in the next year or two that will provide a lot of extra cars sitting available for people, sort of like Car2Go, but in a specific parked concept. We wanted to get in our advice we asked how we can present input and recommendations and our desires for the RFP. Danielle let us know they were coming up. It's coming up very quickly, so we wrote a resolution that quickly to pass, hopefully here, with guidance from the full membership and to have ready to get back to Danielle as much as possible. One of the things that the resolution will talk about is, we don't normally do is speak directly to the management of the program, and we're expressing our support for, it's added for one reason. So of course we always take input and we want everybody's input and opinion on it, but we're mentioning the mobility manager and staff, and I have some modified language for that, but to suggest, but because one of the things that Danielle presented was how much of their time is consumed by abusers of the violation reporting system, to the extent where SeeClickFix removed any scooter share complaint facility because of its abuse by, Danielle would say 3 people, and it was like 3 people, literally 3 people was what was cited as dominating their time with just taking pictures of non-violating behavior, like a scooter in the middle of the street or a scooter parked where they didn't want to be, but non-violating behavior. Anyway, so we wanted to really cite the idea is to cite the manager, or the mobility manager and staff for their roles in making this program a success in the face of this kind of just this plain being aggressive, loud abuse. So that's why there's language there for that. I'm going to go ahead and read it. And it's our resolution on micro mobility, and the Pedestrian Advisory Committee enthusiastically supports Minneapolis scooter and bike share programming and the leadership of mobility manager Danielle Elkins. We recognize this support is shared consistently among Minneapolis biking, walking, and ADA communities. Bike and scooter share naturally complement pedestrian, public transit, and other modes people choose or need to replace driving for one-way trips, errands, and last-mile transit connectivity. We see the success of micromobility service in Minneapolis, even in partial year riding seasons and within a new and quick shifting industry. Data-driven studies show that complaints and injuries are few in number, less than 1/1000% in hundreds of thousands of rides. Micromobility defies a minuscule set, if aggressively loud and mean, of opponents by proving itself safe, wildly popular, and fun. We further appreciate and support the goals of the coming micromobility RFP to expand mobility hub services and capacity, and see particular promise in the use of in-person ambassadors to help people realize maximum benefit and use of available modes, as well as the provision of benches, restrooms, water fountains, and lockers. Finally, we ask that in judging RFP responses, weight is given to vendors committed to serving all of Minneapolis geographically and economically, and to serving a broader range of Minneapolitans than local bike share has so far, including the provision of bikes that work for smaller bodies, disproportionately women of color, as well as adaptive or cargo bikes. Also, to those vendors best able to see the value of the mobility hub concept and integrate themselves within it. End resolution. Thank you, Neil. Thank you, Neil.
Well, I'll just say I like the last paragraph, especially broadening it to, other geographic regions. I was probably most disappointed in that presentation that the university neighborhoods and surrounding neighborhoods were left out of their pilot program. And I get that they were prioritizing different needs, but I was just disappointed in that. So however we can advocate for a broader geographic range of these hubs, certainly we should do.
For sure, Austin, especially as they've, as it's such a dense area for those modes as well. People, not just people, but they've nice ride. Just the bike ride, the bike part of it carved out special rules for helpful rules for the university area.
And it's also important for people being able to see that you can be car free for life. So especially when there's a higher percentage of people maybe living away from home for the first time or on their own. So it would dovetail nicely with things like the reduced transit pass to help people envision a different future.
Austin, do you want to suggest any language change there, any insertion of clause or anything regards the?
I'm at a loss for words. I think there's a lot of smart people in this group. If you all have specific things you want to say about, prioritizing, I don't know if it's student populations or if we want to specifically say the 55414 zip code. I don't know if we can do that, but something that does say like, hey, don't forget about the university. Just because the university looks over-resourced, there are still a lot of folks here that could benefit from this resource, particularly because we have the high volume. And we do have, a very diverse population of folks that live in our neighborhoods around the university.
I know that one of the reasons they talked about it was like a certain percentage of hubs. I guess, I don't know if it's the pilot or like from now on, like absolutely have to be in ACP 50 neighborhoods. So I also know that that's why they were where they were. And so I'm wondering if that was part of the restriction. And then I know that they said they were talking to the U of M about creating their own mobility hubs. So maybe we just want to talk about supporting the work with the U of M that I think they're already doing to bring those hubs in. Because I agree with you, and I think whatever their range and percentage requirements are for where they put them, I think that the U should almost be like a special kind of separate entity that gets a lot of hubs.
And so in that regard, just that first sentence in the last paragraph, weight is given to vendors committed to serving all of Minneapolis. Well, all that speaks to vendors, all of Minneapolis and University of Minnesota. It would carve out the university area. Yeah. What does anybody think of that?
Good.
All right.
One other thing that I had completely blanked on until just now is that apparently both bike share and scooter share have hours that they shut off from midnight to 4 a.m. And I think it would be good if we could push back against that, because I'd way rather have people drunk scootering and biking than drunk driving. Especially
and the people who
shut off.
And the people who work in those industries who have to go home from work at 3 a.m. and might want a bicycle instead of like pay for a lift because they can't take they can't take a bus.
Or your bus doesn't show and you don't know if it's ever coming or whatever. Yeah.
Right.
I didn't know they even cut them off. I'm sorry. I'm really surprised. I would think you want somebody on a scooter if they were out,
I think they cut them off to like redistribute them around.
They said it was specifically, at least the impression I got was that it was because of complaints. And there's a heavy element of, it sounds like the complaints seem to be coming out of a place of racism for the most part, but it's not just about redistribution. The understanding that I have is that it's because of who they think uses them and the complaints they get about who uses them, kind of. They do not interrupt people in the middle of rides, but they have to push back against others on that.
So do you think that in the second to last paragraph where we talk about, no, that's really about the mobility hub services. I see, maybe the paragraph, we see the success even in partial year riding seasons. Maybe at the bottom we can talk about, I don't know, I'm trying to figure out where to put just a quick sentence that says we believe that these services should be.
What about
maybe just add a brief additional paragraph, perhaps under that one you're talking about. can just be a one-sentence paragraph, that expansion of the hours of service to 24/7 is encouraged, or whatever degree of strength of language you want, but something like that.
We urge the city to expand the coverage to 24 hours and year round.
24/7.
Mm-hmm.
Julie, you said year round. Currently, would somebody refresh me? What month do they pull them usually? Is it October?
October-ish. I mean, it's kind of dependent on weather predictions,
Yes.
I think, and also whether they've made the amount of money they want to. But it's
Typically
certainly,
November.
I believe Milwaukee has a year round, so it's not
Yeah.
a climate thing that prevents it.
Yeah, it's been different dates for scooters and different dates for bikes every year.
Maybe something about for this to be as robust of a mode as it can be, people need to be able to rely on it, and that means year-round coverage and 24-hour a day coverage.
Yep.
As well as all neighborhoods.
Julia, if you want to say that, can you be really, really clear and explicit so that Millicent can type it exactly?
Okay. I keep pulling it up, but I don't know exactly where it should go. But
so we're creating a new. How about Millicent? Go to the beginning of this sentence and add this clause in the front. To create a robust. Like what did you want to say here, Julia?
To make scooter and bike share as robust a part of our transportation network as feasible, people need to be able to count on them.
I would just say to create the most robust system we can.
Perfect.
Like we don't need to repeat all the words that we have already used in this. We can, comma, we urge the city to expand the coverage to, I would say, all seasons and all hours of the day.
Yeah.
Perfect.
To all seasons and all hours of the day.
I'd say day or night and night.
All hours of the
Otherwise,
day
they
and
cut
night.
that off again.
Sure. Yep.
Yep. Give them no chance to misread it.
I think all seasons would be 2 words and then an S in the end of season. We're just saying all.
No, 2 words. Yeah.
And I think it stands on its own without the opening clause. So we urge this. We can begin it. We urge the city that been.
Oh, okay.
I think it's implied. You know that we're.
Okay, I like that sentence a lot, and I think that does tell them what we think is important.
Okay, and this is so picayune, but I think we need an Oxford comma after seasons because we have 2 ands following it. All seasons, comma, and all hours of the day and night. Yeah, there you go.
Looks good.
All right.
Millicent, are you able to scroll down just a little bit so I can see that last paragraph again? Thank you.
You got it, Raina? Is it anything to add?
No, I think the last sentence to me is maybe a touch confusing. It could be also that it's almost 5 o'clock on a Wednesday. Are we giving weight to the vendors too?
Okay, to favor vendors instead of also to those. How's that? Is that something that?
Yep.
That's a good one. Okay.
And maybe instead of to see the value of the, just to say to further the mobility hub concept.
Sure, that's good. Yeah, I like that. Yeah.
Oh,
All right, sounds complete by people being quiet. And if that's so, I will move on to our final item, which is simply a resolution that stemmed from a previous INE work. So we wanted to address, I forget which project that came out of, but some county project where we wanted to be able to address, we asked them about being able to change speed limits or post speed limits, and that's where we learned, or we were reminded that they were not, the county was is governed by the state in terms of designing and posting speeds. So that's what I'll read the resolution, and it will that's the and then I think that will explain what I'm just trying to say. I got it down here. All right, and here it is. It's a resolution addressing the Hennepin County Speed Limit Authority, and where we say the Pedestrian Advisory Committee calls on Hennepin County to seek and secure general authority to design and to post at the citywide speed limit of not more than 25 miles per hour. The PAC believes the county should have full control over speed limits on its streets. They should not be prevented by state preemption from conforming to Minneapolis speed limits set for safety and for giving people in motor vehicles a traveling speed suited to enjoying our city rather than racing through it. That's the resolution.
second.
Thank you, Neil. Comments, questions, concerns, flash polls.
Should it be to seek and secure general authority? Would we want to just clear that it's from the state legislature, or well, I mean, is that clear enough when we say that they should seek authority?
To the extent it's not elaborated on in the second paragraph,
it feels clear.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, state preemption. Okay, it's clear. Okay, I wasn't sure.
Because they'll know, right? It's they'll know what that means. I think that's why. Yeah.
Is this one, since this is kind of a self-motivated one, should we make sure that this gets sent to specific people or organizations?
Yeah.
I will send it out in the next week to council. So
I'm thinking the county commissioners. Since I don't know if they have a legislative agenda, but I assume it would be a similar process as happened with Minneapolis and St. Paul with the speed limits.
I'm guessing that, Matthew, by your silence, that Julia and I should have a discussion about that, and maybe if interested, people who live in particular, county districts and have different commissioners can send them to their respective commissioners.
Yeah, I think it would be appropriate either way, whether you all want to send it.
I was thinking, Abigail, I was wondering if you might be able to, as the chair.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to send them to the two commissioners that cover Minneapolis, or should I send them to all commissioners?
I guess start with the two that represent Minneapolis, and then anybody else could also forward this one on. I think that's one way that we haven't done a ton of to maybe help make our resolutions do more.
Okay. I mean, I usually do, but usually involves reinforcing at city level policy stuff is when I send it.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. Yeah, this one's just a little different because they didn't ask for it. Different level.
Okay. All right. If this looks good, then is there anybody else that edits?
I just have one more one comment, and I'm not wedded to this or anything, but the last bit about the conforming to Minneapolis speed limits set for safety, I think that's good, and then the rest of it, and for giving people in motor vehicles a traveling speed and suited to enjoy our city rather than racing through it. It just seems kind of casual to me in comparison to the rest of it. Is there some alternative language such as from conforming to Minneapolis speed limits set for safety and reasonable vehicle operation in the city, or something like that? Racing through and everything. yeah.
Here's the point I had on that, and you're I really appreciate you bringing it up because it gave me some chance to more think about what I was trying to say. And somebody else was speaking, so please go ahead, but then I'll jump in.
Well, I just keep thinking back. I don't even remember which county person it was, but they presented maybe last year something that well, Franklin can't be slower because people apparently commute across the entire metro on Franklin Avenue, which is insane. Nobody does that. But so I get kind of where they would be pushing back and that kind of thing. But
yeah,
I just
what if they do?
I have some alternate language.
Let them enjoy Franklin.
I have an alternate sentence there to propose.
Sure. Okay.
What I was trying to say is if we're by writing something like that, we're in a lot of ways we're acknowledging that we are imposing a burden on a driver, or we're punitively addressing them by lowering a speed limit, which is not. I think we have an opportunity to present it another way. And I'm looking at the last sentence there, where we pick it up from the last sentence, from conforming to, and starting there, the same Minneapolis speed limits, giving people in motor vehicles the same traveling speed. Yep. Suited to greater safety and lower stress. That's what we're giving. That's what the city of Minneapolis is giving people. It's giving drivers by setting 20 and 25. Safety and lower stress. Lower speed, lower stress, axiomatically. So that's, and does that say what the PAC wants to say?
To me, really, it's just about like setting speed limits that are safe for all modes. Like right now, the speed limit is less safe for if you're not in a car, right? Mm-hmm. And so to me, it would just be setting speed limits, conforming to the same Minneapolis speed limits, that like, that increases safety for all modes. So to me, I just would stick to the safety side of it. But that's just me. And again, I'm not I think all of these options are good ones, but that's just my thought.
And I'm going to be on the other side of that. And I feel like the piece that's so often missing is that there's so much more to a city and to what streets are than just safety. So it's about, the way that I understood it was that it's kind of, you're not stopping at businesses. You're not stopping to chat with somebody if you're going that fast. You're not stopping to do it.
And I agree on the curve. I agree, but then Hennepin County will just say, well, that's not our goal. Our goal is to get people through our roads. So I'm just trying to speak to what Hennepin County actually has stuff on the books that says we believe in safety for all, whatever, fewer deaths on our streets. Like they do have safety goals, but they don't have initiatives to not have people drive through the city, right? That's still an initiative. So to me, I want to Hennepin County more than I want to speak. Yes, I agree with you, but I'm just thinking about how Hennepin County might listen to this.
I hear that. I don't think, my goal isn't to keep people from driving through the city. If somebody wants to and they want to take, as long as it takes me to walk, that's fine. It's more, I don't know if they have something to say that the roads are there to support commerce or to serve any function besides moving people from point A to point B, but that's how they've been framed in the past. So I see it more as safety doesn't seem to be compelling them to act, and nor has it at any point. So I'm fine dropping it. The point you make, I think, is good, but our lives alone are not enough for them to act. So if, seeing how much influence there is, thinking even about the smallest benefits to businesses, that's more.
Could we see a greater safety and increased livability instead of lower stress, increased livability? Does that kind of get at what you're saying with the increased livability, commerce, all those concepts?
Yes, I think that goes along. Yeah, and that's a good edit, and that would lead me to change same traveling speed. That's like a slower speed suited greater safety, increased livability. Instead of the same traveling speed, the slower speeds, or whatever works grammatically. There's slower speed or speeds.
So, where are we?
And I think it would be increased with a D. I like that, and I think that makes it clear too, and it also makes sure that it's so increased would have a D on the end. The second to last word, increase with a D, and then you could remove the line in red that increased safety for all modes.
Oh.
So now we're talking about safety and livability without like making it too convoluted.
And I would also suggest in the first paragraph, just so we're like super specific, where it says at the citywide speed limit, could we say at the Minneapolis citywide speed limit? Or just something so it calls out like, hey, we're talking about Minneapolis specifically? Because that was a little confusing to me.
Looking good. Anything else? Anyone else?
Matt put a hand up.
Steinrich, thank you for raising your hand. Matt, what's up?
I just wanted to, and my connection's a little spotty here, so I might have missed it, but I think there are 3 county commissioners that represent Minneapolis, so I just wanted to make sure we send it to all 3 of them.
Yeah, there's at least 2. There's probably 3. North side's got one.
Irene Fernando.
Thank you. Yep, she'd be the 3rd one, wouldn't she?
Great. Should we do a vote?
Yeah,
for all 3?
We're at that point if everybody's cool.
Okay. Abigail?
Yes to all 3.
Yes to all 3. Austin?
Yes.
Barb?
Yes to all 3.
Christopher Hoffer?
Yes to all 3.
Christopher Ross?
Yes to all 3.
Donna?
Yes to all 3.
Harmony?
Yes to all 3.
Julia?
Yes.
Matthew S?
Yes.
Neil?
All right.
Peter?
Aye.
Rena?
Yes.
Wonderful. 12 yeses.
I just wanted to highlight that this resolution kind of came out of informal processes and observations from people on the PAC. So especially for new members, if there's things that you notice, things that you wonder if we've passed anything on, or that you're noticing patterns, please consider bringing it up and seeing what happens, because we certainly don't only have to be reactive in what we talk about in the resolutions we pass.
Yes, and the signalization resolution also came out of recognizing certain things and then asking someone from that department to come talk to us, which was really cool.
Yeah.
And actually that's happened multiple times now, which is great. Right. Is that everything for P&P?
That is everything for P&P, thanks.
Awesome. Great, so next up on the agenda is the September walking meeting, and Matthew, feel free to jump in if I overstep or things have changed. So the September full PAC meeting will be September 1st. It will occur online in this format. It will be shorter. So you will need to log in, and we'll still conduct the meeting. But I think as co-chairs, maybe just consider that we'll probably, maybe we won't read anything but the resolutions. So when you show up to the meeting, like come ready, and we're gonna pass things. What's gonna happen is if you're available, interested, and the weather is cooperating, the meeting will be short because we're hoping to in person meet up outside at the Government Plaza Rail Station, or like outside the Hennepin County Government Building and Minneapolis City Hall, where we usually meet for our September walking meetings. And this will be more of just a social walk, because again, the meeting will be online. And the goal would be that once we kind of finish conducting all the business we need to conduct at the September meeting online, that then together, anyone who is present in person outside will go together on a short mile and a half walk, like we typically do as a pack in September. So with that being said, so everyone is able to attend either the online meeting and including the walking meeting. So you're welcome to come if you're able. Otherwise, we'll see you, of course, online as always. And then when it comes to that, I'm going to open the floor for questions on that. And then I'm going to open the floor for if anybody has ideas for maybe where we should walk to on our little mile and a half, little kind of meander, if the weather suits us on September 1st. So I'll open the floor for questions and or ideas.
The 4th freeway off-ramp thingy, super huge amount of space, closed to vehicles, very easy to walk onto, no barricades, very nearby.
I didn't quite catch that. What is it? 4th what?
It's a highway thing. It goes on forever. It's like Broadway to downtown, kind of. It's some sort of a flyover through the North Loop.
Oh, okay, 4th over there.
Right by Pizza Luce.
Pizza Luce, of course. Great.
Lots of space.
Would that
pretty quiet?
It technically, I don't want to call us out. Like that's not technically trespassing, because it's not just like close the cars because they're constructing it. And we're just going to like walk through the barricades. Or is that what you're actually?
I'm not. It's MnDOT, and it's like public, and it's not. It's very, very lightly barricaded. Like it's not.
That's not a thing. That is not a thing.
Okay, I asked if it was like.
Nice try.
I'm not going to suggest that we trespass, but if the sidewalk is open,
right,
then we could walk on the sidewalk together.
Because it's a car-only space.
Okay.
But right now it's a no-one space.
I would suggest we stay in places that are lawful together as a group.
Right.
At some point, we're going to have to consider whether or not we abide by a system that doesn't see us.
Okay, let's do that off record.
We'll think of that later. Let's find a walk we can actually do.
On your own time.
That's right. So I'm not going to be here because I've got to write the minutes, and somehow I'm not, I probably won't be on this walk if it's going to be on Zoom.
Well, Neil, like I'll be present, so I can open the meeting. I can turn it up loud, and then you and I can like be together looking at the screen.
Yeah, that would work.
So it's also recorded.
And
it's your phone.
And you could bring and you'll be recorded, and you could watch later.
That'd be
and
great.
then you can just bring a notebook. So
it's not a movie. I don't want to eat popcorn with this thing. Yeah, I'll show up and I'll use your phone. That'd be perfect.
Okay, and bring a notebook for your minutes.
Absolutely. Then we can go on someplace illegal.
Matthew, do you have any ideas of where we should go? What is the 3rd Street? What about the 3rd? Is it 3rd Street or 3rd Avenue bridge?
We could do that kind of area.
Is that open?
I don't think it's open, but we could like look at it, and then also the Waterworks project is kind of nearing completion, I believe. That could be kind of cool to take a look at too. So that area, and then MnDOT's gonna be coming to you all soon, but they're gonna be doing some work on the Stone Arch Bridge that'll impact the deck. And I mean, not that we need to look at it but we can talk about it at least. So.
Isn't 8th about done, and it was a pedestrian specific project?
8th Street downtown?
The one that goes past HCMC or close to HCMC.
Yeah. Yeah, we could. That's a good call. Yeah.
8th Street.
10th Avenue Bridge is it says summer 2021. I guess I'd be surprised if it was done by then, by September 1st, but that is certainly nearing completion too for.
Oh.
There's also portions of Hennepin downtown since it's a two-stager.
Hennepin's all closed. Isn't Hennepin all closed for construction right now? It's like a total mess.
It's crazy right now.
It's half. I thought it was half and half, like because they did it. It was sort of 4 blocks at once. So the 4 blocks that are finished are fairly close. The bus shelters are not up, and I can't remember if there's like you can walk it.
Yeah, there might be a couple blocks that are not a mess.
Don't they have it closed from about 6th to Washington right now?
I've seen
I
a
think
couple
so,
of
because
like
they did like 12.
I get
a
off
couple
at
things are
6. It's closed.
detoured. Yeah, I see some pedestrian detours on it. So I think on either one side of the street or another, sometimes you can walk down it, but I don't know if it's contiguous.
You know, Hennepin sounds like a really interesting idea because of like half being kind of done, so to speak. And we did a ride with the BAC recently as like a social thing, and there's a lot of opinions about Hennepin that I think would be really interesting to talk through.
Yeah.
Especially as it relates to like upcoming projects and how we design things. So I mean, Hennepin could be really interesting, and we could probably do Hennepin and maybe 8th. Take a look at that too.
I mean, 8th is supposed to be the best of what the city has to offer, or that was the one that's like sort of was. I think Don Flom maybe that was one of his last ones, unless I'm misremembering.
We should do 4th Street, Hennepin, and 8th Little Loop because of how like those were designed sort of in succession over years, and there's some differences and some growth and things like that. That could be really interesting, and it'd keep a fairly tight walk that could be maybe comfortable for everyone.
Are we still weighing in on the tactile differentiation on Hennepin?
Well, I think
that would be
fascinating to hear your all opinions on that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. I wrote these down, and then I'll look at a map, and I'll just try to like map it out, and then I'll be downtown another day, and I'll look at Hennepin downtown to make sure that like the route we pick has at least like a an accessible walkway. And then, but we all know where we're meeting in September. If you can make it, otherwise, of course, we'll all be online. And if you have any notes or ideas in the interim, we can talk about them. Does that sound good?
Yeah, where were we?
Yes.
So I have a question.
Yes.
The meeting we'll be meeting to do the meeting in person as well.
So because of open meeting laws, like if you have a smartphone or a tablet, that you could use outside, you can show up in person outside at 4 p.m. and log into the meeting online on your phone or tablet or whatever works for you. And then, or if you don't have that, yeah, or you can call in, right? So even if you have a flip phone, you could call in the telephone number. And if you don't have one of those and you show up and someone's comfortable, like I'm going to share with Neil, I'm comfortable with that. We'll look at the screen together. But if you can't make it in person at 4 o'clock to Neil, it's at Government Plaza, the rail station. So like in City Hall, like that little park in front of Hennepin County Center. If where we always meet on the September walk, if you can't meet in person, you can just log in the way you log in at home, like you did today. So that's how we'll all meet, because the meeting and all the actual meeting stuff will all be online. So no one's going to miss anything if they cannot or do not want to be in person outside. And again, we'll stay outside together. But if you can make it on the walk, that'll be a social aspect, and the meeting itself will be short online.
Thank you. Got it. That makes sense now.
Yeah, no problem.
If anyone really doesn't have a device, I can probably bring in extra. I would need to double check, but feel free to let me know, and I can see if I can borrow somebody's or end up with an extra, so that if that's the only thing keeping you from doing that, we can make it work.
I can bring it all phone.
So it's also important to note, like, as long as we have a quorum of people on their phones or in the meeting, it kind of like don't feel like you need that to show up in person, because we'll just like have the meeting. You know what I mean? We'll be verbal. You'll be able to hear it. So
Right.
Right. You'll shout into somebody's thing outside. Here, present.
That's right.
Great.
Right.
Yeah. Sorry. So this meeting is just a little odd because we're not just an in-person group. Cool. I'm excited about it. And so fingers crossed the weather is nice. And then you'll be getting a follow-up email closer to the date itself. Maybe that Monday, or maybe like once the agenda comes out, I'll just send a follow-up email reminding everybody where we're meeting with a map of our route and what to expect if the weather holds for us. Matthew, do you have any updates or added things for that?
No.
That's September 1st.
September 1st.
Yay.
And I think before that, the BAC is having in the same concept, they're going to be doing a little bike. So we'll see how all that goes, and we'll get feedback. That'll be cool. All right. Anybody have any last questions on our plan for September? All right. So with that, I'll open the floor to anybody who might have an announcement.
I actually do. It sounds like the online meetings are going to go on for some time. For months to come, it sounds like. Am I right about that?
It is. It has not necessarily been discussed, but I guess as an announcement, it's important to point out that it is now required if you're in city buildings to have a mask, and so that's the main thing that has happened. There has not been discussion about specifically ABCs and how we'll transition, but you can sort of maybe guess, or like I don't know that we're going to be back in person as soon as we thought. I'll just say that.
Yeah, that's why I also.
One more thing to add. Sorry, this is Chris. As soon as the emergency orders end in Minneapolis or the state of Minnesota, we will be back in person. So it's not really in our control, and that could happen anytime. Like Matthew said, like that might not happen as soon as we thought it would, but it could happen in any month.
Well, what I was wanting to say is I've decided I'm going to retire. This online meeting stuff just is not working for me, and I'm pretty burned out from it. I mean, because like when we're together, we discuss one amendment or one thing at a time as far as those things. What do you call them? Can't think of the word right now. We just voted on some of them. Resolutions, yeah. We vote on one at a time when we're together, but when we're online and stuff like that, you have to go through each person's name and all that. And so then you vote all together. And by the time you've done editing on all three of them, I've lost track of what's going on in the first one, and because I can't see to read it, and it's just not working. So I've decided that I'm going to retire.
Are you saying if we don't go back, or?
I've decided to retire because I have a feeling it's going to be some time, and there's going to be several more of these online meetings.
All
right. Well,
I think a lot of people
are like caught off guard.
Sorry, Donna. I appreciate that, and I think we want to bring that feedback back to like the city as well as the state, and so like that's really important information, and like we should not be holding meetings in a way that's hard for people who can't see to participate in. So that's on us and like the law moving forward to address.
Yeah, and Donna, I was curious. I think you have access to email, correct? And I think the LIM system's emails, when they send out for the agenda, I'm assuming those are like screen reader friendly.
Yeah, as long as they're not in, as long as they're in Word.
Okay, and then the agendas that are attached. So you click the link from the email, and you go to an agenda that is also screen reader friendly. I assume, Matthew, Millicent. And then from there, you can actually click on all the linked items, and those are PDFs usually. Are those screen reader friendly?
Nope.
Okay, so this is where we have the logjam then, and I think Chris Kartheiser just remembered to take this back. Like, this is where Donna has the problem. Like, she can't screen read, like the screen reader doesn't she can't actually read the resolutions in advance. Because Donna, I'd love if you didn't retire. I know I'm not really loving online meetings too, and they're kind of draining. And I'm wondering, like, I'm willing, and I wish I had known this. One, Public Works should have never, everything should be screen reader friendly. So that's really kind of disappointing, Public Works.
It is
and
important
then
to know. Sorry, I want to interrupt. I think there's a difference between, is it like accessible per the law? Our PDFs are accessible. I think it, like, maybe Donna can't, doesn't, I don't know what the right word is, but I think our PDFs are accessible per the law. I think that's important to know.
I see. Okay.
It may be something with what Donna uses.
Without checking in with people, it seems like that would be nice if the city, like, there's been a lot of effort that's gone into this, and as far as I can tell, there's been little effort to find out how it's impacted accessibility from city clerk's office. So if it's a matter of some assistance to make sure that there's the right programs available or whatever it might be. But what Donna, what you were saying sounded like it was almost a meeting process piece, where if we did each resolution individually, it might be a little easier.
That's just part of it.
Because
but sitting on the phone and this is just getting to be really, really old for me.
Would you consider taking a month or two off to give yourself a break and maybe then coming back? Because it would be, you're really valuable for our committee and we appreciate your presence. So maybe there's a way of taking care of yourself and then coming back and checking how it's going.
Maybe even a leave of absence until we're in person meetings again, if that would be helpful. Because I really value you being here, and that would be
very helpful.
Yeah.
I don't think we have to do anything formally though.
You don't.
Because, like, you know, as long as we aren't, like, as long as this body doesn't say, like, hey, a person's not showing up, nobody gets removed, right? So I sort of agree with like if Donna, if this isn't working for you and you want to take some time off, I think that's fine.
Yep.
I don't think we need to make paperwork or you know, make a big deal out of it.
Why don't we
and then so to that point, I just want to ask Donna, like, so I understand it's a phone thing, so maybe this isn't it, but like I would be comfortable almost like calling you before a meeting and reading the resolutions and talking with you about edits or changes you'd like to see. But I understand that that's even more phone time. So, but I do want to offer that out there if that's helpful for you.
Not only that, but with some of these phones that you guys are on, they break up.
When do they ever? Yeah, you can't.
Yeah, when I can't see anything and then they're breaking up. Like the one time when you asked me if I wanted to vote, I heard part of what I thought was my name, but I couldn't be sure because part of it was cut off.
Okay.
There's so many things wrong with this kind of a setup, but it's just, you know.
The setup is absolute garbage.
And there's also, I think we also need to remember, and I think it should be on Public Works staff to remember to mute people who aren't speaking, because that does contribute to the sounds of breakup. But Donna, I'd love to talk with you more about this offline, maybe later. And then I totally respect and understand if you even just want to take a leave of absence. You're still on the PAC. We still value your input, and in any way you want to provide input. So I guess maybe if you're open to it, that like maybe someone from Public Works and I can just call you later this month and just ask what you'd want or what you need, so that, you know, whatever you decide to, we also can get good feedback. Does that sound good to you?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we do apologize because we understand and respect that, and also we would miss you. So.
Well, especially after a whole year of this, it's just like, oh.
Oh, amen to that, Donna.
By the way, I left the other committee because a lot of times they'd have different interpreters for the deaf, and so then they'd have to start out all over with all the technology again, and over and over, and I just go, oh.
How about we continue to send you the information, the meeting minutes and such?
Yeah.
You keep in the loop.
Yeah, we won't make any changes like related to membership.
Yeah. You're still on the committee.
And if you see something in one of the subcommittees, like if you see something in PNP that is of interest to you, but you just don't want to be in the meeting, I'm always happy to just talk one-on-one on the phone to find out what you're interested in and what your perspective is, if that's the way for you to engage without having to be part of these long meetings.
Me too.
And then I can bring that forward.
I second that for I&E. So just give me a call or we can find a way to connect.
Okay.
Thanks, Donna, for bringing it forward and for being so honest, because I think that feedback is really useful and helpful.
Yep.
Absolutely.
So next up, I see a hand raised, Sonia.
Oh,
Thank you. I just wanted to add as a general announcement that we recently published a new bus stop design guide. So it's called the Metro Transit Regular Route Bus Stop Design Guide. And maybe the link could make it into the minutes in case any folks are interested in taking a look. And this is the first edition. I'm hoping it's a living document that gets updated as new best practice comes to light or other topics to be included. But a lot of focus on accessibility, a lot of focus on walking and rolling access, kind of behind the curb as well as in the street. So just wanted to put that out there.
hey, Sonia.
Would you be willing to come to PNP with that? Is
Sure.
there any chance for feedback or would it be more of a presentation?
This is like a first edition, but similar to the Minneapolis, the new street design guide. I'm hoping that our group will update it, once a year. So if we can get new stuff in there for 2022, that would be great.
I'd love
Can
a
you,
presentation then if the co-chairs are amicable.
Yeah,
you
should we connect off? I'm sorry.
Can you send me a link to that, Sonia?
Yeah, what's the best way to do that? Is that through Abigail or?
The only way to
Matthew?
do that is email with me because it's the only thing I've got. Mine is it's my full name. It's on the list somewhere.
Or you could just email to us. We'll
Or even to email us.
send it up.
Matthew, and don't send it out.
Great.
But I've got 19th century equipment.
Sure.
Thanks, Sonia.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Maybe.
Any other announcements? I don't see any hands. Any other announcements?
Yes, well, not an announcement, but related to going back in person, I have reached out to the city to try and find out about the air exchange rates and ventilation generally, and am waiting a call back, and we'll follow up. So just for anyone thinking about that.
Thanks, Julia. Anyone else? All right. Then I move to adjourn this
Second.
August full tax meeting. Thanks, everybody. Great work today.